watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
And thank you for joining us. We are live, and we're going to talk to you about Celtic's trip to Serbia to face Red Star Belgrade. Thank you for joining me tonight, guys.
Yeah, it should be an exciting week of European action. We've got two of the three Scottish teams in action this week, with Aberdeen starting their Conference League campaign next week. But Europa League this week should have been Champions League for at least Celtic last week. Obviously wasn't the case after the defeat to Kairat Almaty, and now they have the chance to bounce back in Belgrade and right the wrongs of their terrible away European record in a hostile atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm back. Sorry, I'm back in my comfort zone in the Europa League, my favourite competition, and hopefully when the Rangers team tomorrow night hear that European music, they'll kick into gear. But obviously we're here to talk about the Celtic game tonight, and it should be a good game. It's a very, very tough away trip and a hostile atmosphere to go into.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys agree, but surely the Serbian champions and the Scottish champions should be in the group stages. But in terms of Celtic, they had an easy route into the Champions League.
Yeah, they did, and the loss to Kairat Almaty over two legs, the Kazakhstan champions, was unforgivable for the Celtic fans, and they've made as much clear to the board that they're not going to stand for what happened over those two legs. But Red Star Belgrade come in a very similar fashion. They've won all 7 of their league games so far. They are such a massive financial power in Serbia compared to the rest of the teams in the league. Partizan Belgrade, you would probably put alongside of them, but slightly below. Probably similar to what we've got in Scotland. But they did lose. They did lose to Paphos FC over two legs. The Cypriot champions to allow them into the Champions League for the first time, and that was a massive financial disparity and upset between those two sides. So they're in a very similar state to Celtic at the moment. So it'll be really interesting to see how both teams react and try and bounce back from massive European disappointments. Red Star Belgrade, or Crvena Zvezda, as they're known in Serbia. Also,
you've been trying that pronunciation for a couple of days, Ethan, and you've still quite not got it. What'd you say, Reagan?
I'm saying he's been trying to do that all day, Ethan. He's been trying to work on it all
day. Okay. So Red Star Belgrade, as I was saying,
he's just moving on.
Red Star Belgrade, as I was saying, they'll have home advantage, obviously playing in the Serbian capital. Celtic's away European record is terrible, as we know. Last season they didn't manage a win, even though they performed well in the Champions League. They had the highs of the result in Bergamo or the result in Munich, which wasn't a high, but an impressive result and performance as a whole. They also got a point in Zagreb, but didn't manage to win a game. The Celtic fans travelling over there will hope they can change that tonight, but it will be really tough because Red Star are a good team.
I'm not too well versed on Red Star's players. Ethan, do you know any players we can look out for?
Well, Marko Arnautovic is the big name. The striker, obviously scored and appeared many times for Austria, amongst other clubs, Inter Milan, Stoke City, to name a few.
Was he playing in Serie A last season? I'm sure he was playing.
Yeah, I think he came on in the Champions League final. Obviously, to little effect with the scoreline, PSG obviously thrashing into the final, but shows that quality player that they brought in, someone that was in a Champions League final squad, and he'll be a massive threat for them. He's expected to start and is one of their danger men. Another one that was sort of pointed out to me by someone I spoke to, Kristijan Plajonda, who's a Serbian journalist. He also runs the Serbian Football Scout on X or Twitter. You've probably seen him before. He was saying that along with Marko Arnautovic, Ivanic has been a key figure for years, and Radoncic as well. The winger could also be dangerous. He gave me a predicted lineup for the Serbians. It had Mateus in goals, the former Sporting Braga goalkeeper, a few times against Rangers, and then the back four of Sil.
He's a good keeper, by the way. There was times, sorry to jump in, Ethan, but there was times in those games where you thought that, how are you going to get past this guy? He would save everything. I'm not sure if he's quite up to those standards, the standards that he was, being obviously 33 is not too old for a goalkeeper, but obviously it's a good bit older than he was. But that's how time works. I've just explained it in case anyone didn't realise. He did pull off some mental saves in those games against Rangers, and I think Celtic tonight will need to have some good finishing if they want to get past the big Brazilian.
Yeah, and obviously here tonight that it's going to be a very poignant night in Serbia, because I think one of Red Star Belgrade's former players sadly passed away last week. He collapsed on the pitch. So I think it will be a sad time for them.
Yeah, exactly, and I hope there's a minute's silence or minute's applause before the game, or possibly there was one at the weekend. Although they were in the derby, so knowing how fierce that derby is, then sometimes it's not the best thing to do. But hopefully they were able to. The fans were able to unite and show their respects, and if the same is to be applied tonight, hopefully both sets of fans show the same. Moving on to the defence, they've got Sul, Velkovic, Jusena, and Tiknisian, and then the midfield is Elsnik, Hendel, and then the three attacking players in behind. The striker are Radoncic, as I mentioned, Duarte, Ivanic, as I also mentioned, and then Arnautovic expected to lead the line. So that's the expected lineup for Red Star Belgrade, but I think I'll obviously get the confirmed starting 11 over to the viewers once it comes our way. Should be just about 10 minutes away.
Another name that I recognise as well, probably based on what you said there, Ethan, he'll probably be coming off the bench, but Babika, I think he played against Rangers in the Europa League a couple of years ago for Aris Limassol as well, and I think if memory serves, he's a fairly dangerous player. He might have even scored against Rangers. He did get 3 goals in the Europa League that season, so he's an impact player to watch out for as well.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys a question, because I've been really impressed by him, especially the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that is Donovan. I mean, surely Donovan is now Celtic's number 2 right back, because I think, and also it's a very big positive for the Scotland team as well, because this is something we've been looking at, especially when a lot of our players are getting injured. I think he could definitely do well.
Yeah.
For some reason, my brain, when you said that there, I thought you were talking about Landon Donovan. I'm like, what's going on here? Why is he talking about him? No, but yeah, Ethan, sorry to jump all over there, but yeah, Kobe Donovan's
he's been given a brilliant opportunity. Obviously, fortunate for him, unfortunate for Celtic on the whole with the Alistair Johnson injury, and then Anthony Ralston picking up a knock. But even in Almaty, when he came on, Kobe Donovan was one of the most positive Celtic players across the 2 legs, and many people had him in with a shout to start the game at Ibrox even. Obviously that didn't happen. Brendan Rodgers, as you would expect, went with the experience of Anthony Ralston, but he was carrying a knock, and then he obviously pulls out the Scotland team, and Kobe Donovan gets his chance to start matches, and he's taking the chance with both hands. And I think Brendan Rodgers was saying in the press conference the other day, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, that he has no hesitation to put Kobe Donovan in for a match like this, and that's great to hear, not just from a Celtic point of view, but a Scottish football point of view, that Celtic are giving youth players a chance, because it's been a long time since they've really given a youngster a chance in so many games, or such a massive game as well at that. And as you mentioned, Reagan, it's a positive for the Scottish national team, because hopefully Aaron Hickey can nail down that position, but again at Brentford, and stay fit, because he's always had a terrible time with injuries, and be a big part of Steve Clarke's qualifying campaign. But if not, then Kobe Donovan's there to compete with the other right backs, like your Anthony Ralstons, maybe your Nathan Patterson. So yeah, definitely a few exciting players coming through at Celtic. Dane Murray as well. Obviously, more difficult for him to get opportunities when he's up against Cameron Carter-Vickers, but he's shown his class when he's been called upon this season.
I mean, even me and you don't really know about it, Infant, but I think in terms of Alex, he knows about being able to go far in European competition, especially this competition. Do you think that if Celtic do potentially go to the quarter final or the semi final, then the Celtic fans will say that is a very good European campaign? Because I think, of course, people are not subscribed to the home ticket scheme and stuff like that, and obviously Rangers fans are boycotting the match tomorrow. Celtic fans are boycotting the match against Braga in 2 weeks' time. Even don't think there's hardly any tickets there apart from me. I don't think I'm the only one that's going to be there. But like, I mean, do you think that both of the clubs will actually get on with it once they start playing and winning matches?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah.
I think for Celtic, they need to. Sorry, Alex. I think for Celtic, they need to look at winning a tie first, because obviously it's been that long time since they did win a European tie, and of course it's going to be more difficult when you've been playing in the Champions League. We know the Europa League is obviously a step down, but they've still had opportunities in the past and not really taken them. I think they can show and bring confidence to themselves if they get a good result tonight and get a few positive results away from home in Europe, because as I've mentioned, Celtic's record away from home in Europe has been terrible for quite a while now, and a statement result tonight would possibly change that going forward. But yeah, for Rangers, there's no reason why, if they can build up steam, then they can't go to the quarterfinals like they did last season. I know it's obviously been a really tricky start for Russell Martin, but I do believe that even if the players aren't really buying into what he's doing or whatever, then that they're capable of turning up in a one-off game and showing their quality against teams of a similar European standard.
Yeah, just in terms of the Europa League, it is a step down in quality from the Champions League, but I think it poses different challenges. Like the game tonight, it's obviously on paper it's not as difficult as playing a team who are in the Champions League this season, but you get those kind of matches against maybe fallen European giants who still have incredible fan bases, and I feel like it's a different type of challenge also. And this competition can surprise you with teams. I mean, Rangers have been the surprise the most of the last few seasons, but you could have a team sort of coming up out of nowhere and surprising you as well. I think tonight it's a winnable game for Celtic. I think the Scottish League, I'm not quite sure where the coefficient rankings have us in comparison to the Serbian League, but I think the Scottish League.
I think the points we've got at the moment are pretty bad. I think the points the Scottish clubs have got at the moment are pretty bad. So, I'm not too sure in terms of the ranking towards Scotland and Serbia, but I think the Scottish rankings at the moment are pretty bad.
Yeah, but I think just off what my point was, no matter where we are in comparison to Serbia in that respect, I think the Scottish league is a better league than the Serbian league. The top two teams, well, maybe not right now, but the top two teams I think recently have been better. Rangers, I think, proved that good few years ago now, but they did batter Red Star Belgrade. They did lose in Belgrade 2-1, but they were already 3-0 in front after the game at Ibrox. So, yeah, so on paper it should be a win for Celtic, but you never know what's going to happen. I feel like the Europa League for me is the competition of surprises, of teams you don't expect. Whereas the Champions League, you get those surprises maybe early, and then when it gets down to the final 16, the final 8, that's when the quality shines through. But like Rangers were not the best team when they made it to the final. They were not in terms of quality, not by a long shot. I mean, I know they were in a bad spot and they lost to the eventual winners of the competition in emphatic fashion, but Barcelona were in it that year. Rangers also put out RB Leipzig as well. So
Dortmund as well.
I feel like the Europa League. Yeah, Dortmund as well. Forgot about that. In the Europa League, it's more of a chance for teams to sort of upset, the status quo all the way to the final. So yeah, it very unpredictable.
Yeah, I think. On you go, Reagan.
Sorry, I'm just going to say. I mean, I was obviously watching the Spurs game last year, and they played a team in similar size nation to us, and Bodo Glint. Do you think Celtic and Rangers can take real inspiration from Bodo Glint in terms of they were a small country and we can actually go toe to toe with some of these teams?
Exactly that. Bodo Glimt have less of a fan base than Celtic and Rangers, and obviously Rangers did get to the final a few years ago, and Bodo Glimt got to the
also as well. Rangers also ran the two finalists pretty close last year. Also,
Yeah, I mean that match against Spurs was. I thought Rangers were the best team, and if you could probably say Dessers should probably win the match for Rangers, but
yeah.
I think Rangers actually showed against Man U as well. So I think it is a good point you make, and I think the Europa League is a good chance for Brendan Rodgers and also the Celtic board to prove, look, we can still do this, because
Yeah.
as much as it might be the second competition, I mean, you just need to look at the sort of the jubilation of these clubs like Man United, Spurs, Bodo Glimt. I mean, these clubs absolutely love being in this competition last year. And I think if Celtic and Rangers can get to the quarters or the semi-final, then I think it could be a very good competition. I just think at the moment, because there's so much anger in both clubs, then there's a little bit of a better taste in the mouth.
Yeah, and I think the games in the Europa League are still difficult. I think the only difference really between the Champions League and the Europa League for the most part is you're missing, for the most time, those sort of glamour ties against the elite clubs of European football. But teams like your Red Star Belgrade, for example, and I think Celtic are playing 4 teams that were in the Champions League last season. So this is a fixture that on paper is no more easier than a few of Celtic's games in the Champions League last season. Slovan Bratislava at home, Young Boys at home, Dinamo Zagreb away. You're probably looking at a par to slightly more difficult for this game. So it's not going to be an easy game for Celtic to go over there and pick up 3 points. I think a lot of Celtic fans would probably be happy with a point, but Brendan Rodgers and these players will want to lay down an early marker and put in a statement performance to strike a little bit of fear into the other teams that they have coming up against, and Rangers will like to do the same tomorrow, because making a good start in these competitions can always help you. And the Celtic lineup is now out, so I'll just run through it. Kasper Schmeichel in goals, a back four of Kieran Tierney, Liam Scales, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and it is Kobe Donovan at right back. A midfield three unchanged again: Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate, and Benjamin Nygren. And the front three has one possible surprise, you could say, and it's Sebastian Tenekte starts, that's no surprise. Daizen Maeda starts, no surprise. But Yang gets the nod again on the right wing, which a little bit surprising. But when there's no other really players that can play on that right wing comfortably, it isn't the biggest surprise in the world. But obviously a massive night for him.
Yeah, me and Ethan were theorising the other day whether he would try and shoehorn Iheanacho in and play Maeda off the right. Because I think at this point, Tenekte is undroppable. But he's obviously gone with Yang, who has played off the right before a few times for Celtic. So maybe that's what he thought his best option is. If he's won as well, I've got the Red Star Belgrade team here. I had both teams up before Ethan jumped ahead of me. But yeah, I've got the Red Star Belgrade team if you want to hear that. What'd you say?
I said, well done.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Right, read out the team and then I'll see how it compares. To be fair, I'm looking at it. On you go.
What, the Red Star team?
Yeah, Red Star, yeah.
Okay. So, Mateus, Uchenna, Velkovic, Tikanazian. That's what I'm going to go with. Sol, Elsnik, Handel, Duarte, Marko Arnautovic, Ivanic, and Radoncic is the starting 11 for Red Star.
I think it's. I think there's one. No, I think the team that the Serbian football scout on X or Twitter, Christian gave me was the expected lineup. So yeah. But yeah, I was just looking through the squad there actually, and one of the players has got a ridiculous stat I've just noticed for goals this season. Alexander Katai has 11 goals in 7 league games this season.
A lot.
I don't know if that's a real stat, but if it is, then it's a
He's been there for a good while. He was. I remember there was a story around him when Rangers played him because he was in good goal scoring form at that time as well. So maybe he's just a bagsman.
Yeah, not even starting as well. But yeah, 11 goals. And I don't know why he's not starting, because he started the last 3 games for them. But there obviously must be something that is the reason why he's not starting the match. Is he on the bench?
Sorry, Ethan, can you just tell us the Celtic bench while you're there?
Yeah, the Celtic bench. Sorry. Let me just get it back up.
No problem.
Yes. Sinisalo, Duan, Balikwisha, McCowan, Iheanacho, Kenny, Engels, Bernardo, Sirachi, Murray, Forrest, Ralston. So I'm trying to see if there's anyone notable that's not on there, but I don't think so. I think he's got a pretty
I've got sorry, I'm just going to say I've got Katai's goal record up if you want to hear it. This is kind of mad. It's kind of consistent as well. A wee dip, and so he's been at Crvena Zvezda since 2020, where he scored 18 goals, and then he scored 33. Then he scored 19, then down to 12, back up to 19 last season, and this season he's scored 12 goals in 13 games, and he's got 2 assists this season as well. So kind of strange that he's not in the starting lineup tonight.
See, in terms of Celtic tonight, guys, I mean, who do you see being the kind of Red Star, being the Red Star men for Celtic in terms of trying to score? Because I think in terms of Celtic, I think obviously you can look at people like Maeda and Taneki, but is there anyone else that stands out for you guys?
No.
Well, Benjamin Negrin's been involved in a lot of goals. I don't think he's maybe hit the heights that Celtic fans would have expected so far, but he has chipped in with a lot of goals and assists so far, the most of any Celtic player, I believe, this season. So, yeah, he'll be one that'll obviously be a threat. But it's a really difficult game to call, I think, and I think it will be a really tight one. And I can really see it going either way. You're just hoping. On you go, Alex.
Sorry, Ethan.
No, on you go.
No, I was just going to say, just on Reagan's question there, this is going to sound kind of mad, but it's based off of this season so far. In that Celtic starting lineup, I don't really see any immediate goal threat. Anyone this season. Last season, I'd be fair coming up against Diaz Maeda, but this season he's been all right, but he's not. He's not really. To me, he's not really the guy you're looking to this season anymore. Tunecki's in the door. He did score at the weekend, but we're still yet to see whether he can do that consistently. But I don't. To me, right now, in that Celtic starting lineup, I'm not looking at anyone and going, "That's the guy that will score."
I tend to agree with you because I watched him against Kyra and see that chance that he missed on the away leg with about 5 minutes to go. See if he's being fully concentrated and fully motivated. I think that's a chance last season where he scores that goal.
Yeah.
But I'm just interested.
He missed a similar one in the home leg as well, didn't he? In the latter stages of the game. I think that's those two games was when everyone was kind of looking at him and going, something's not right with Maeda this season.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting because I think if Celtic potentially go far, I don't know how far we can get in, if we can get in January, but I think if Celtic get to the latter stages of this, then it'll be interesting to see if he stays. But I think potentially for me, Ethan, I don't know about you, but I think Celtic might look to offload him in January.
Possibly. I think if he wanted to go then in the summer, then Celtic probably should have sold him. And I think Celtic should be looking for a replacement right now. We know how difficult the Celtic find getting players in the summer, never mind January. We know it's difficult to get players in the January window because teams are even more so reluctant to sell, obviously, most of them being halfway through a season. So you could move on in January, but I wouldn't be surprised if both the player and the club held out for the summer because I do think, although I think you could definitely question whether his full focus was on Celtic and rightfully so with the comments he made about that he did want to move on and Celtic obviously didn't allow that to happen. But I do think he's the type of player that will probably be fully committed to trying to give his best for Celtic. Whether that means he can sort of perform even half the season he did last campaign is another question. But I would have to agree with Alex. I don't see much sort of someone that you could really sort of nail down as a threat, but massive opportunities for players like Tunecki to show himself on a big stage. It is all good doing it at Rugby Park and for Hill, but this is a sort of team that was in the Champions League last season in a hostile atmosphere. So it's a bit of a step up. For players like Yang, I think the jury for a lot of Celtic fans is sort of it's been decided on him really that he's not a Celtic quality player, but Brendan Rodgers doesn't have much else he can really do in that position. So Yang has another chance to prove himself, and if he plays well tonight, then maybe he writes a new chapter for him at Celtic. I can't see it happening, but you never know. But yeah, I think
that's the 23rd time we've said that about Yang. This is his opportunity.
The thing is, he does. There is a few games, probably like every 5 or 6 games he plays, where he does look really good, and then he just fades
Do you know
away.
who that? Do you know who that sounds like? Like Rabbi Matondo or Scott Wright or something. Literally, every few games he's really good, and then he just fades. That's got Matondo and Scott Wright written all over it.
I just hope Brendan Rodgers has got a VIP seat in Belgrade for Yang's misses, because whenever his misses comes up, he seems to score. You know, I hope she was at for her on Sunday and then she's at Belgrade tonight, because I tell you, he always seems to score when his missus is watching.
Yeah, and there must be. I know we all and a lot of Celtic fans question the reason why he's playing. I think the reason's pretty clear. Celtic haven't got any sort of better options in that position at the moment, and until
I don't know you guys, but surely we could play James Forrest in that position.
you could play James Forrest, but it's whether James Forrest at his great age. Of 34, not I mean the oldest age in the world, but for a footballer and a winger especially, is quite old. Then I think Yang possibly is the better option. He did play pretty decently well on Sunday, got his goal, so the confidence will be up. And yeah, I think there must be something that Brendan Rodgers sees in him to keep playing him, because otherwise he would try and shoehorn players into a formation that doesn't really work for them. But ultimately, he has faith in Yang. It's a big night and he's put him in. So he's obviously expecting that Yang will do something. But I think the Celtic fans are losing that hope every time he plays.
I don't know why he's not started James Forrest. They're waiting on the walking stick delivery coming in. And once he's got his stick, he'll be all right, and you can get back out onto the pitch. But no, it is a big chance for Yang, and you know it's weird because I think now and again I find myself kind of rooting for him. He seems like a likable guy. You know what I mean? And he does show flashes. Like, I know we joke, but that kind of time his girlfriend was here, he was really good. And you know, maybe, and you know, the recruitment team, I think very much an Ange Postecoglou kind of residual signing Yang was, but he, you know, they must have seen something in him to bring him in. And some of the other players that maybe didn't work out at Celtic, I think Kwon is playing extremely well over in France right now in Ligue 1. So, you know, maybe it's not the right environment for him. Yang, you never know, because obviously I've been banging on about how I don't think his goal record's worth £24 million, but Oz went to Genk. He's returning to Glasgow tomorrow night, and in Belgium, and he nearly got a 24 rising to £30 million move to Stuttgart. You know, so maybe it's not the right environment for Yang, because other players who have been on the periphery, and maybe, well, Kwon was, I don't even remember Kwon making an appearance for Celtic, but you know, O was definitely on the periphery, who haven't succeeded at Celtic. I've went to other places and succeeded, so maybe there is a player there, and it's just not the right club for him.
Yeah, exactly that. And you made a good few examples there, but you even look at the player who won the Ballon d'Or the other night. Obviously, a pretty terrible time at Barcelona for Ousmane Dembele, but he makes the move to PSG and awarded the Ballon d'Or trophy, and rightfully so, I think, for his performances last season. So that happens in football, that sometimes players just aren't, it's not the right environment for them. And Yang is the type of player that you wouldn't be surprised if he went somewhere else. And he did start playing well for another club. But
I thought you were going to say you would be surprised if he went somewhere else and won the Ballon d'Or.
Well, you never know. You never know. Football's a funny game. But no, you wouldn't be surprised if he went somewhere else and had a successful career. But obviously Celtic have, like Dyson Maeda, they've locked him into the club, blocked his move away to Birmingham City on deadline day, and now he's going to be forced to stay in be a part of Brendan Rodgers' squad at the very least until January, and he looks like the best right wing option at the moment until as such time as he can sort a way to get Kelechi Iheanacho or Mikel Ange-Balawisha into the team while shifting Sebastian Tinekte or Daizen Maeda out to that right hand side. It's just like it's like that's the bench. The right wing's the bench, and they're all trying to run away from they're all trying to get into the left wing and striker position. It's just crazy to think where Celtic have left themselves, but a massive chance for Yang, as we've said, and hopefully he grabs it with two hands.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go on to a different match. Obviously, it was a very busy night last night in Scottish football, and obviously Aberdeen are playing on this week, I think it is, in the Europa Conference League, maybe.
Next
but
week.
Yeah, next week.
Next week.
But in terms of Jimmy, I mean, surely Jimmy's got to be on a shaky nail now. I mean, I know he won I know he won the Scottish. I know he won the Scottish trophy the end of last season. Obviously in a penalty shootout against Celtic, but I think surely I know the Aberdeen fans were singing that you're getting sacked in the morning last night, but I just feel like Aberdeen have really fallen away.
Yeah, I think that Scottish Cup win has bought him a lot of time because I don't think he's won a league game in 2025. Or since
I think he has.
Since early 2025 or something. I don't know. It's kind of I'm not sure what the statistic is, but yeah, he's had a really poor kind of start, but I feel like that Scottish Cup wins bought him a lot of time. Also, as well, if you look at the recruitment, they've invested a lot. That's another issue with Rangers and Russell Martin. They've done a lot of recruiting for him, and you know it's been really, really shocking for both clubs. Rangers 11th, Aberdeen rock bottom. That could be another issue. They're looking at this going, oh, we brought in all these guys for him, and he's not getting the results. Should we just wait a bit longer and see if we can turn it around? Because a new manager will come in, and of course he'll use players from the previous regime, but every new manager brings a plethora of their own players in, and that's a massive headache for the board, for the finance guys, for everything. So maybe that's part of the reason why he's also in the job. But obviously, I think the Scottish Cup win did buy him a lot.
2 weeks ago, when I was in Spain, I was looking on X, and people were saying that Aberdeen had the best transfer window in the Scottish Premier League, and I tend to agree with a few of the signings. But if you look at sort of like people like Stuart Armstrong, I would say Stuart Armstrong's a little bit maybe over the hill. I think the winger they got from Sweden looks like a good player. But I think a lot of the players that they brought in are okay. But a team like Aberdeen, like you say, guys, a team like Aberdeen shouldn't be sitting second bottom in the table.
Bottom. Well, Aberdeen are bottom. But yeah, Jesper Karlsson, he looks like an excellent signing. I haven't got the chance to see him play yet. I think from what I've heard, he has shown sort of his bits of quality. But as you said, players like Stuart Armstrong, I think he can be a good signing, but I wouldn't be deploying him in a midfield along with Graham Shinnie. I just don't think that's got enough legs to as a midfield too. And I think I look back to the Hibs situation last season where they started the season awfully under David Gray, and Hibs stuck with him, and then obviously
it's a great comparison.
So that's why I'm thinking that you stick with him a little bit longer, I would say, because is still very early in the season, and there isn't much between the teams below Celtic and Hearts, who have obviously made a little bit of a gap to the rest of the league early on. But to the rest of the teams in the league, even like a Hibs aren't that far away from Aberdeen if they can string a few results together. And you feel it only takes really one result for Aberdeen, and it could flick the switch, or flip the switch rather.
Do you guys think that maybe Aberdeen are looking at him last year and going, well, David Gray had a good run in this, and a good run in the all of the competitions last year. They finished third in the league, so it proves that obviously, maybe it's not time to say see you Jimmy yet, because I think in terms of him, I think he's shown last season, because I know that Aberdeen started so well. I mean, people were tipping Aberdeen to win the league. The Aberdeen fans were singing in January we're going to win the league. You know?
Yeah. Of course, Aberdeen started the season brilliantly, and that'll also aid Jimmy Tillene's case, because he has shown that he can take this Aberdeen team on a great run. I think they've strengthened even more in the summer, that he's been backed heavily. The squad is there. It looks good on paper. They're just not playing well and not getting the results. And last night was a really poor one at Tannadice. And yeah, it will be worrying, and Aberdeen fans will feel like maybe Jimmy Tillene has run his race, but I would maybe give him a little bit more time. I still think the league's very narrow in terms of the majority of it being decided by a few points, and I think one positive result for Aberdeen could really turn it around, and see them possibly go on a similar run to last season, because you've seen Hibs do a similar thing as well. So it's not something that teams out with Celtic and Rangers can't do. I know we don't see it often. We're seeing one possibly that could be similar from Hearts to now. I know it's early in the season, but they've started the season excellently. And long may that continue, because that's what we like. We like our league to have competitiveness out with the usual big two from Glasgow. It makes for a more entertaining product as a whole. So hopefully Aberdeen can sort of get their act together, because they've obviously got a massive Europa Conference League campaign on the horizon as well.
You could also argue that Aberdeen Rangers in a relegation battle is entertaining. So whatever way you want to go, but no, I don't think those teams will end up there. I hope, but yeah. We do bang on about it quite a lot, but we do want to improve our product and have more competitive teams in the division. So and the way to do that is for them to obviously win games in the league, but also if they can do something in the Conference League this season. Obviously, the Conference League isn't a massive financial gain, but when you're playing at the level of Aberdeen and other clubs, and every bit kind of helps. I'm by no means saying Aberdeen are like a charity case or anything like that, because they're absolutely not. They're one of the more well-off clubs in Scotland, but money helps at the end of the day, and if they can progress through the Conference League and do decent in that competition, it can help them in the league as well, I think. And if form goes hand in hand, and a good European campaign can boost the squad's confidence as well.
See, the big thing though, we're talking about Rangers and Aberdeen, right? The only thing I would say to that is, if you look at a team like Celtic, a team like Hearts, Celtic are playing on Saturday again, Celtic Park against David Gray's team, and Hearts are playing at Tynecastle a match against Falkirk on Saturday, right? No, if Celtic and Hearts both will win those matches, Aberdeen and Rangers, they could see when they go around to play their matches on Sunday, they could be looking at a 12 point buffer on Celtic and Hearts. And as much as we say, okay, it's still very early on in the season, but I just think it's a very long way back to if Motherwell beat Aberdeen and say you're allowed to get a point against Rangers.
It's all right, Reagan. From here on in, Rangers are going to win at every single game at least 4-0. We got the wee win to start. Vegan balls well and truly arrived at Ibrox. We're going to go on one of the most ridiculous unbeaten runs you've ever seen, and we're going to win the quadruple.
There you go. So you heard it here first. On the 24th of September 2025, that's what Ethan mentioned it. So if everyone should go and put the lottery numbers on Friday.
Yeah, no, but no, seriously, yeah, it can. It would be bad, and as much. I think it's done. Like, if I'm being realistic, it's done already. 9 points, more to Celtic because I think they pull away. They will pull away from Hearts eventually, and open up that gap a little bit. So because I feel like Celtic, as much as we've said they're not great this season, they've still won every single game bar a draw against Rangers in one of the worst games of football I think we've ever seen.
I mean, obviously, I still expect.
What are you saying, Reagan?
I mean, obviously, I still expect Rangers to finish second and be close to Celtic. But what I mean is, I think if say Hearts go and beat Falkirk by 3 goals on Saturday, and then Rangers going into that game again at the Tony Macaroni Arena on Sunday, being 12 points behind. I know it's very early on, but surely the coaching staff at Rangers will start looking and going, we need to start winning now.
I think that would be their attitude anyway, and I think the squad shouldn't and the coaching staff shouldn't be paying attention to the league. It's an old cliche, but right now it should be a game at a time. Just try and get a consistent run of wins together the way they should have started the season. Because, the pressure, don't get me, the pressure's still on Russell Martin. If they get thrashed tomorrow night and then go and lose or draw at Livingston, the pitchforks are going to be coming out with even more force. So yeah, it is crucial that they just take it a game at a time, try and get a decent run of wins together, alleviate the pressure. I think there will be a lingering pressure on Russell Martin for the whole of the season. I don't think that's going to go away unless he turns it around and wins the league. So he just needs to alleviate some of the pressure and, try and get, like I said, a decent run of wins together. And try and quiet the noise because the noise is extremely loud at the moment, probably deafening for him. And he acts all nonchalant, like he doesn't care and stuff, but you can tell in recent press conferences he's been getting a little bit agitated as well. So, what doesn't help his case, though, it seems like he doesn't care about the supporters and he doesn't take any accountability. So, that does irritate me a little bit. But if they, yeah.
Me and Ethan mentioned it on Friday, but I want to get your take on the potential kind of little bit of a tit for tat between Jim White and the fan media.
What did you say? Jim White and who? Right, okay, yeah, the thing on TalkSport, yeah. I saw that, and I agree with all the comments saying the guy got it spot on. The caller, and I think the fan media were correct. They're asking the questions that maybe. And I think we should take this into our professions. And obviously, it can be difficult if you're not independent. Maybe you're working for someone or whatever. But they're asking the questions that need to be asked that fans want to hear about. The one that it was mental. I thought after he'd done all that, I think it's Stevie from Four Lads Had a Dream.
Yep.
And he was asking good questions. David Edgar was asking good questions as well. And then I think it was Stevie that asked, "Will you resign?" And you'd never hear that from a journalist, and it's just the questions that the fans want the answers to. And you know what's the kicker as well, though? After he's asked all these controversial questions, the journalists are jumping all over it, grabbing the quotes because it's great. It's great content. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's so important that these questions are being asked because it's not often I agree with you and Cameron, but I think you and Cameron has made a lot of good points as well in terms of like I think so. I think someone needs to ask him these questions because there's no point coming in and going, "Oh, things are going okay," or so. You need to actually ask the actual question because fans are not daft.
Yeah, and it's
Or
not. It's not.
someone should go in and say, "Can't get worse than this, Russell Carrot."
I,
It
no,
can.
no, I think I don't think there's anything wrong in asking him that question either about whether he's going to resign because it's yes, you could maybe say it's a little bit of an over the top or a risky question, but it's a fair enough question to ask when the scrutiny is under from the fans. The results have been terrible, and I think that is a question that would have been asked in the past. I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be asked now, but yeah, I think I spoke about this with Reagan last week. I don't really understand Jim White's stance on it, to be honest. I think fan media is a positive thing in it, and it allows fans to connect with the club and the players and the managers as well.
And I don't think Russell Martin's actual follow up answer actually helped his case because what I actually said to Stevie was, "You're not seeing the players in training." I mean, to say that as well because surely Russell Martin knows. Well, I'm not able to say that because what the fans are actually paying to see is not great enough. Surely he can recognise that, but then to come back and say, "Well, I've seen the players in training, and you know," basically,
Yeah, I think I said this a few weeks ago. I couldn't care if they're world class in training, if blooming Chermitty's playing like Kylian Mbappe in training, you know what I mean? I want to see it on the pitch. I want to see results. And, then you can blabber on about how good you are, how good they've been in training, because it's translated onto the pitch. You can take them up Tinto Hill. You can take them to Ben Lomond. You can take them for a wee swim. Any day trip you want to do everything as long as you're winning.
yep.
And so far, it's just been excuses, and they're doing very well in training. And he's using the same platitudes that he's been using in all three of his previous jobs about players' anxiety and stuff like that. That seems like he's get out of jail free card. So yeah, he's an irritating football manager to listen to, and especially when nothing he's said is getting backed up.
Yeah, and I just want to also mention a few talking points because I was meant to come on last night, but I was actually busy last night. So the scores on the doors last night was Dun United 0, Aberdeen 0, and then obviously Falkirk and David Gray's hiding through 2-2.
Did you say Dundee United now, Aberdeen now there?
No,
Yeah,
Dun
I
United.
think you did.
Yeah.
Dundee United 2. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think most people watching this would have known that anyway. But yeah, I didn't see that coming. I thought Aberdeen would eventually bounce back, but obviously not in another difficult game to come for Park. On Saturday. Is it Saturday night game? So yeah, it
Did-
doesn't get any easier for Jimmy Tully.
Did you see as well in the championship there were 4 red cards last night? For a red card for every single team playing in the championship last night, but all of them double yellows, which is quite mad. Obviously, Ayr United beat Dunfermline Athletic, and St Johnstone won 8 points clear with a plus 12 goal difference 7 games into the season. But Partick Thistle are 2 games in hand, and if they can win both, then they have the opportunity to go within 3 points of St Johnstone. But the rest of the league are falling away quickly.
Yeah, what do we? Sorry, Regan, I was just going to ask this. What do we think? Early favourite for Manager of the Season award, Simo Valakari? Would that be fair to say, or do you think Derek McInnes possibly in with a shout?
Derek McInnes, yeah.
I think McInnes is up there.
I think especially with the matches he's had. I mean, he's played Aberdeen, he's played Livy, he's played Rangers, and he's so I think he's played all the tough matches, and perhaps to be.
Well, to be fair, he's still to play the Derby and still to play Celtic. So I think after that, we'll really get to judge not just Derek McInnes, but this Hearts team as a whole, and see where they really lie. But yeah, I think the other 2 front runners, I'd have to say so far. Forgive me if I'm forgetting anyone else. But
I know this isn't the way football works, but if Celtic play the way they did against Rangers, I think Hearts would beat them. But Hearts have not been super consistent this season either, so you don't know.
I think the interesting thing for me as well is Tony Dockery's not really had the effective role. I think when he's went in there as well, because I think I was fully expecting him to go into the Highlands and do well, but he's not really. It's not really translated for him.
Nothing's worked out for Ross County. They've thrown a lot of money into this side. They have a lot of quality. You can see it from top to bottom, but it's not worked at all. And it's not looking good for the Staggies at all. It is still early for Tony Docherty. I think he's only been in charge for 2 or 3 games, maybe. So it's still early, but I think Ross County fans for right now can forget thinking about promotion. They need to start thinking about survival.
Yeah,
because their form's been really, really poor.
Talk us through the Celtic team again, Ethan, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So Kasper Schmeichel in goals, unchanged back 4. Kieran Tierney, who played his first full 90 minutes the other day. I don't think he will play full 90 tonight, but that'll be interesting to see. Liam Scales and Cameron Carter-Vickers are the central defenders, with 18-year-old Colby Donovan getting the nod at right back for his first European start for the club. The midfield 3 is unchanged yet again. Cal McGregor, Benjamin Nigren and Rio Atati, with the front 3 of Sebastian Tenekte, Daisen Maeda and Yang, the big call at right wing.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, in terms of Nigren, right? I don't think he's been that impressive, and I'm just wondering why. But Bernardo and Engels are not really getting a chance.
Yeah, Paulo Bernardo, Arne Engels, and Luke McEwen aren't really. They must not be impressing too much in training, because even at the weekend there against the championship opponents, and I know Partick Thistle have looked really good in the championship so far this season under Mark Wilson, but still championship opponents. You expect that maybe he's going to rotate one of them in before a European match, but he's stuck with the same 3 he has done for quite a while now, and I think you understand that they are possibly the 3 when they're at their best. They're probably the 3 best players, but I don't. None of them have really convinced me so far. I don't think. Benjamin Nigren's looked good in points. as I mentioned earlier, I think he's been involved in the most goals of any Celtic player. He has got that sort of creative instinct that Rio Atati has also. But Callum McGregor hasn't played very well to his usual very high standards this season. Possibly age and the amount of games he's played finally catching up to him. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if any of those three and the reserves can sort of pose a challenge, because there is certainly quality there, and as a position that you look at as probably Celtic's most stacked across the squad.
Yeah, I mean, take us through the bench again, because I've got a question, a follow-up question in terms of see the bench. Who do you guys think? Who do you guys think? Say Celtic are drawing 0-0 with 20 minutes to go. Who would be who would be the player that you would bring on to try?
Well, I think. On you go, Alex.
I've got an interesting shout. So obviously the obvious one's Kelechi Iheanacho, right? But for me, I think some of his best sort of performances have been Impact, and I think he can show up in big moments. Luke McCowan's good off the bench. You know, I'm not a Celtic expert. I don't watch every single game like you guys do, but just from what I've seen, that he's a decent player. And I think other than bringing on Iheanacho as a striker to try and get a goal, I think he's the guy I'd look to make the difference, which is kind of crazy considering you've got a club record fee sitting on the bench as well. So obviously his game isn't super attacking, but he can influence the game in an attacking way. Neither is Luke McCowan, though. Luke McCowan's not an out-and-out attacker either. So, I'd probably look to Iheanacho and Luke McCowan to make a difference.
I think one player who hasn't really grabbed the headlines for his positive or good start to life at Celtic Park is Michelangelo Bartoluisha, but I think he did look a little bit more positive when he came off the bench at the weekend, and you would imagine he would be the substitution you would expect on that left-hand side for Sebastian Connecte later in the match. So maybe against sort of tired legs, he can come on and change the match possibly, because he is a good player. And like we say, sometimes it doesn't work out in certain environments, but he comes with a decent pedigree from the Belgian league, and you would have expected to see more than you have so far. But I would agree with Alex. Kelechi Iheanacho, although maybe he's not at his fittest or whatever, he showed at the weekend that he's still a good player that can be a useful asset to Celtic. And Luke McCowan is showing that he's a tidy player that's got energy and can come on and change a match. So yeah, they're the players that I would say. But it's a decent bench for Celtic, but not great. But I think it is definitely capable of getting Celtic. The squad, is definitely capable of getting Celtic through to at least the playoff round of this Europa League.
And I think Brendan Rodgers would also look at players like James Forrest or Johnny Kenny as well. I think Johnny Kenny's a little bit underappreciated as well. I actually preferred Johnny Kenny over Adam Ida. I think Johnny Kenny has offered a little bit more.
Quite possibly, and to be fair, when Alex was making his sort of saying his surprise shout, I thought he was actually going to say Johnny Kenny. And I know he hasn't had a lot of opportunities, but he is a player that when he plays, he's got a goal this season in the league. He is maybe a player that does deserve an opportunity, but when you've got Kelechi Iheanacho, Michelangelo Bartoluisha, and James Forrest as well, they're probably all going to come on before him. But I think there'll be chances in the season for Johnny Kenny to show that maybe as worth to Brendan Rodgers and Celtic. But yeah, they've got decent options on the bench, but so have Red Star. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. I feel like there's a lot less pressure on Celtic because it's Europa League, and I just feel like the competition as a whole is just everything's dialed down a little bit. But obviously, the Celtic fans will still expect Celtic to win tonight and advance in the top 8 probably, if not at the very least into the playoff round.
And I think you can even say that Celtic's group stages sort of draw. I wouldn't say there's like a big hitter there. There's maybe Roma, but apart from that, these are matches that Celtic can go into against Sturm Graz, because Sturm Graz were they were a Champions League playoff team. Then you've got people like Braga, who I wouldn't really fear, because Alex was talking
Just
about.
Sorry, Regan. Just on Sturm Graz as well. They are currently losing 2-0 to FC Midtjylland, and we saw Hibs go toe to toe with them in Europa League qualifying. So maybe that can give. Obviously, I alluded to it earlier. That's not the way football works, but maybe that can give you an idea of the level.
And Celtic play FC Midtjylland as well later on in the league phase. So yeah, that is a good point. And yeah, I think Celtic and Rangers 9 out of 10 times, or most of the time in the Europa League, the teams you come up against, Celtic and Rangers should be looking to compete with them. I'm not saying win every game, but compete. There shouldn't be a game in the league phase for Celtic or Rangers where they are destroyed by a super team, and you kind of take your hat off and just say that's what they can do to you. That shouldn't really happen, and I don't think it will happen. I think Rangers have shown, even when domestically they've been poor, that they're able to rise to the occasion and compete in the Europa League. And Celtic, for a Scottish coefficient point of view, should hopefully follow suit, although they've failed to do in the past. So yeah, you don't know.
I mean, if I say to you and Alex, right, Celtic and Rangers kind of best European moments over the past 20 to 30 years, it's got to be the two runs in Europe. I mean, look at Celtic in 2003. I mean, people like Chris Sutton, Stan Petrov, John Hartson are still doing, like, they're still going to pubs in Glasgow talking about it. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't see Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. He's going to be at Ibrox talking about Rangers playing in the Champions League. He'll be going there talking about the great moments about getting Rangers to that Europa League final and stuff like that. So I think sometimes this competition can be undervalued, but if you look at the past 20 years, Celtic's trip to Seville brought so many memories for so many people.
Yeah, and the Champions League has a ceiling on it for Celtic and Rangers. You can maybe get to if you're very, very good and lucky in the draw, you can maybe get to a last 16 or maybe even a quarter final, right? But Rangers have shown.
I think that's pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, that is pushing it. That is pushing it, definitely. But there is in the Europa League, doesn't really seem that there's that much of a ceiling. I know Celtic have struggled for years in European knockout matches, but Rangers got to that Europa League final, and they were a couple of kicks away from lifting the UEFA Cup, now known as the Europa League. So there is no ceiling in this competition for the Scottish clubs. They can go into it with confidence, and if they can perform well in the league phase and strike fear into the other teams in the competition, there's no reason why they can't go far. I personally don't think any of them will go beyond the quarter final, but I would like to be surprised, and hopefully we do get a team making a run to the final and hopefully winning it this time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
What I can say, sorry, Regan. What I can say as well about the memories, I can tell you from experience. That's although the end result wasn't what I wanted, that season of watching Rangers in Europe was one of my best seasons watching. It was tremendous, and seeing us take down teams like Dortmund, who granted weren't at the peak of their powers at the time, but it was still mental. Take down teams like RB Leipzig, coming from behind against Braga and Leipzig, lost both the away ties and then went to Ibrox and won. So yeah, it's a European run. It's a tremendous experience. Even last season against Fenerbahce, I was in the stands for the penalty shootout, and it was absolutely nerve wracking. But one of the penalties I actually had to. I turned around and I was looking at the guy behind me for the reaction, and then when he started cheering, I jumped into his arms and stuff like that. And those kind of memories on the European nights, you can't replace them. You can't think of anything like it, and it's an opportunity. And Celtic and Rangers fans, either of them would be a terrific experience to go on that kind of run. I'm sure the Celtic fans who were alive to experience Seville all those years ago can talk to that speak to that as well. It's just fantastic. And what I'm saying alive because we're all like 20
years ago. Yeah, but it was only like 20 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
I wasn't born 20 years ago.
I wasn't born for it either. But I think the majority of Scottish football fans and possibly people who view this.
I was born for it, but I was very, very young. So
yeah. Well, maybe Alex makes a good point, but yeah, there is no reason why Celtic and Rangers can't go to the latter stages of this competition, and I think it's a brilliant opportunity because clubs sometimes in the bigger leagues they turn their nose up at it. If they've got a chance at Champions League football through their league, sometimes they'll prioritise that and rotate in the Europa League. Obviously, in cases like Man United and Tottenham last season when they're scraping at the bottom of the barrel of the Premier League just above the relegation zone, it was their only chance to get into Champions League, so that felt like there was an extra incentive in that match in the final, which should have made it an interesting final. It wasn't really. It was a terrible game of football. Obviously, Spurs win it under Ange Postecoglou, and now he finds himself at Nottingham Forest, of course. And yeah, but now Spurs are in the Champions League. They started with a win as well, so. Yeah, it's a brilliant opportunity, and Celtic Rangers have been able to relish it over the last few years, having a number of successful campaigns. Now Celtic are in it. They've shown last season that they can do well in Europe and they can do what they're supposed to do. Then they should be getting to at the very least the playoff round, and then they can work from there.
I don't know if we're going to be on tomorrow because of schedules and stuff like that, guys. So I'll get a prediction firstly for the Celtic game tonight and then the Rangers game tomorrow.
All right, I think I'm going to stick with what I said on the dugout. I think I for the good of the Scottish teams, I went for 2-1 to Celtic. I'm pretty sure, so I'm going to stick with that. Stick to my guns.
There we go. And for you, Ethan.
I'm going with I'm sitting on the fence. I'm going for a draw. I don't think Celtic will be able to win away from home in Europe this time. I think they will find a win away from home in Europe across the campaign, but I don't think it'll be tonight. I think they'll take a decent point away from the Serbian capital.
Yeah, I think it'll be 2-2. I think Celtic will score. I think Taneki will score. But I don't trust Celtic to be able to see out that 2-1 victory. I think I can just see a ball maybe deflecting off the scales at the end of the game or something like that. You know, I can just
very specific way to not win a game, but
everyone put your line on Liam Scales on goal. please gamble responsibly.
Yeah. Please gamble responsibly. And if we don't see you tomorrow, then we'll definitely see you on Friday. So I want to get a prediction from you guys for the Rangers game tomorrow.
I think this is what I said as well. I'm sticking with it. I'm going to go with a scrappy 1-0 victory to the Rangers.
I'm going with a less scrappy 2-1 victory Rangers with a goal from O. On his return to Glasgow, but I think Rangers will start their campaign with 3 points. Genk have started the season pretty terribly, so I think Rangers, although Rangers have as well, I think they'll get the job done at Ibrox.
Yeah, I mean, this has got the potential to be worse than that. Celtic Rangers game, 2 really bad teams at the moment, but I'm just going to go for maybe a 2-1 to Rangers as well.
Yep, fair enough.
So
I'll take that.
So please make sure to tune in on Friday. We'll definitely be on Friday. I'm not so sure about tomorrow yet in terms of schedules, but hopefully we'll see you very, very soon. And thank you for tuning in. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone YouTube channel, and we'll see you all again soon.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and